Hello and welcome back to Oliver Clapworthy Music, and in today's video is something completely different. I'm going to be interviewing Fran, who plays synthesizer for Pack of Animals. If you haven't watched my review on them, go do it now before you watch this video, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. So I'm now joined by Fran from Pack of Animals and Silvertree. And I'm gonna just basically talk to him about music for however long I want to. So, Fran, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not bad. We played a gig in Pack of Animals last night, down at the art club. So yeah, feeling good, feeling good.
So, I just wanted to ask, what was your favourite moment of that gig?
Oh, favorite moment of that gig? I think just the crowd kind of spurred us on for that gig, for the whole event. There was just non-stop energy from that crowd. We owe a lot to that crowd just for like kind of keeping us going for that gig
Yeah, there was like
massively.
there was like three mosh pits throughout the night, and I was desperately trying to avoid everything.
The mosh pits, because of the way the venue works, it's like quite exciting from like a band perspective because it's like the mosh pits take up the whole venue because it's quite a small venue. Whereas I just feel like if you're in the crowd and you're not maybe a massive fan of like, well, just getting beaten up really,
Hmm.
like then like it's just gonna be like your worst nightmare because like the way the venue works, like there's not much room just to like escape really.
Yeah, no, Noah from Tough Luck almost bumped into me because I was like right on the edge of it.
They're having a good time. They're really good. We're very lucky to have them open up for us last night. They brought a lot of people down. So, like we couldn't have sold out the show without them. So yeah, shout out tough luck.
Yeah, so shout out to Tough Luck. Please watch my Friday night live review if you haven't already.
I think yeah, I know they've already watched it. They were like saying good things about it. So yeah, we're
Yeah,
good mates with those boys.
yeah. And I also did a review on Pack of Animals as well, so please watch that as well. So, Fran, I want to ask you, what's your first memory of music as a whole?
Of music as a whole. Oh, we were talking about this in the band the other day. So I remember I had a little iPod, um, like which my dad had given me, which my dad downloaded loads of albums on, and it must have been about 2012. But there was a Foo Fighters album called "Wasting Light" that came out, and
That was
to be honest, I just
2011. It was the
yeah, that
album
must have been
that
it.
Walk was on.
Yeah, because I was six when like that's my first. Obviously, I had music in my life before that point, but that's my first memory of it, and I just remember being listening to that and going, I want to be a musician. I want to like be on a stage and just have a whole crowd in my hands. And the more I got into like Dave Grohl as a young kid, the more like I just wanted to be a front man and that sort of stuff. That's why I started singing. That's kind of how I fell into the path of joining Silvertree and that sort of stuff. And it's like it's still, even though like I'm not an active front man at the moment, it's still plays a big part into my stage presence nowadays. So yeah, I owe a lot to that album.
Yeah, to be fair, you do have the stage presence of a frontman in Pack of Animals, just like literally. It's a bit like Happy Mondays. There's a guy called
What
Bez
Bez,
from Happy
yeah.
Mondays. When he's that, I mean, your dancing is probably better than Bez's,
I'll take that. I'll take that.
but yeah, it's a bit like Happy Bez from Happy Mondays, just like, but he's playing the synthesizer. But
Yeah, I mean, Happy Mondays are a big inspiration for us, actually. Just that whole scene from was it Factory Records?
I think
The
so.
Tony
Yeah,
Wilson with like it was obviously Joy Division. Um and then Happy Mondays and obviously after Joy Division fell, New Order. That whole scene is like a massive inspiration for us. We watched a really good documentary a little while back called um 24-hour party people, obviously named after the Happy Monday song. And
Mm.
that just got us like really excited just to be in the music scene and that sort of stuff and try and ignite that sort of scene and just go into gigs again and just people living in the moment. Because I kind of feel like when people go to gigs at the moment, there's a lot of people on phones and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
People are just there to. It's almost like if you go to a gig nowadays, you're there for the status credit for a lot of people.
Mm.
That like you're going to gigs, you're in this sort of active scene. Whereas I kind of feel like back then it was a bit of that, but like also people just going to gigs because it's what they loved. And
Yeah.
that was it. And just kind of feeling the moment. So yeah, we're trying to kind of ignite that sort of feeling back of just living in the moment with our sound at the moment.
Good. My next question is like, is there a best gig ever that you've performed in?
Oh, in Pack of Animals or Silvertree?
I mean, both.
All right, Pack of Animals. I have to say our gig before the Art Club. It was our last Bristol gig before that at the Louisiana. Um, that one was just like I've never felt that good at a gig before. Just the energy going up into it. I think because we were quite confident because we knew we'd sold it out a couple of days before like the gig was on. So it was like we knew that the crowd was going to be there for us. We just had to deliver ourselves really musically.
Yeah.
And we rocked up into that event very confident. We all knew what we were doing. We all knew how we were playing. It was my first time doing a lot of the new songs that we've got on the synth. Like we start the set with this song called Thunder now, where like it starts off with siren sound on the synth. Sorry. But yeah, it was all I was doing a lot more in that gig than I've done previously. So it was just really nice to see a more prominent gig on the synth feeding back well to the crowd because it kind of just felt like I was actually adding something, and that was just a really good feeling to have. In Silvertree, probably probably just like our first move gig, which was also with Pack of Animals before I joined the band. I organized that whole night myself. It was my first time putting on an event, and I realized how difficult it is
Yeah.
to put on an event as well on your own. But I felt I did the best job I could. I planned out I was lucky because I was able to plan out the event like 3 months before it happened. So anything that was going to go wrong, I could kind of predict before it happened.
Yeah.
So everything ran really smoothly that night, and to be honest, that was one of the most fun crowds Silvertree ever played in front of.
Yeah.
Like,
There was I remember the circle pit.
oh
Um,
yeah, we had someone handstand in the crowd as
yeah.
well. Yeah, it was just a really fun night. I think that's my most memorable night with those boys. I haven't seen much of them recently. I've seen Kian, but me and Kian were talking about that night last time we saw each other, and it's just like our fondest memory of the band, really.
I'm actually going to say I really liked the recent Silvertree headline, the one back in August. I
Was that
thought,
the last one we did before
yes,
we took a break?
yeah,
Yeah. That was a really fun gig. It was a very emotional one
yeah,
because I spent so much time with those boys and like the last year before that, just like really, really trying to build something. Move was such an important venue to us for that. Marcus Osborne, the band wouldn't have been as successful in Devon as it was without him. There's no way we would have been getting like 100 people to our gigs. Like, and even though that sounds like a small amount for someone to like give that to a bunch of 16, 17-year-olds at the time, give a venue to a bunch of 16, 17-year-olds and just like trust them just to put on a good event, then that means a lot to us and we owe a lot to Marcus for that. So yeah.
yeah. And do I ask the question? Is there a worse gig?
Is there a worst gig we've done? Or no, you can ask that. You can ask that. So in Silvertree, I would probably say a few times at the Cabin. I remember we played the Cabin one time, and it was just like maybe the second time, and there was just like 5 people that turned
I think
up.
you told me about this one.
It
You
was
told me
I
about
can't
this,
remember
yeah.
the full lineup. It was us and the Post and someone else.
James Sebastian.
Yes, that was it. The other bands were really good, and we performed well. But I've always, at the time, I struggled to give off good energy on stage when there wasn't a crowd there. Whereas now I've kind of learned it was a really good learning experience, even though it was probably our worst gig, just because it was like I was able to really learn that just like a gig is a gig. You still have to perform to your best, even though there's 5 people in the room. You can't just give up, and you've still got to put on a show for those 5 people, because they're going to be the ones that you want to get back down to your gigs. The only reason why I felt like that gig I didn't view at the time as that successful was because we had a lot of issues with the Cabin at the time, just because we were all 16-year-olds. So
Yeah,
a lot of our fan base was 16, 15, 17. So 16 plus gigs or 14 plus gigs were really the only gigs that our fan base could come down. And at the time, the Cabin had just switched to just doing 18 plus gigs. So that was always a bit of a clash for us, just because we love the Cabin as venue. It's a really cool looking venue. It's been a massive benefit to the Exeter scene. It's just that there was no way we could get our fan base down there at the time. Whereas if like Pack of Animals or Silvertree were to play there nowadays, I'm sure we'd
yeah.
have a much more fond experience with it.
Well, everyone from our gear group is now 18 plus.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. It's like, yeah, it's just gonna be a really. I will definitely head back to the Cabin. I don't know which band, but I'm sure we'll be there again.
So, this video is actually going out on the 17th of March, 10 days from today.
17th of March, yeah.
So, it will be Sunday as you're watching this now, and and it's looking to be like a really good summer for gigs, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, we got we got our mates Die Twice from back home. They've booked us onto a gig at the Exeter Phoenix in the main room, which will be really fun. That's May 30th. It's nice to gig with your mates, I find. And
Yeah,
we've got a really good relationship with Die Twice. So that's just like a really nice thing to pursue, because if we can help them out, they can help us out, and it's like vice versa. We might try and do something in Bristol with them sometime soon. But at the moment, we're going into recording. So that's going to be an exciting thing for the summer. So the main reason for not booking too many events this year is to record, and then hope that next year, when festival season comes around, we'll have enough releases that we can play more events, more festivals, and that'll just really be a year focused on gigging.
yeah. I mean, I myself are going to crazy loads of gigs. Even today, like the 7th of March, as we're recording this, I'm heading down to Golden Lion and Gloucester Road to watch Who Killed Bunny. Then on
Yes,
the
yes, I saw that.
Yeah, then on the 13th of March, I'm going to see Deep Sleep Dreamers at the Crofters Rights.
Whose band is that again?
That's Taylor's band.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Yeah, it's Taylor, Luann, Friday, and
And Sam.
is it Sam, the drummer? Yeah,
Yeah.
Sam Husband. Yeah, he's
Uh,
a lovely guy. I've
hmm,
got a lot of respect for Sam, the drummer, because he just goes to every punk gig or post-punk gig in the world. So like, we need more people like that in the music industry, just because these small gigs are just what keep the venues and that sort of stuff thriving.
yeah.
And it's always a good night out. So like, you can't go wrong just going to check out some small band that's just starting out. It's never going to be a bad night.
Yeah, and then on the 19th of March, I'm going to see Justin Hawkins Rides Again live show. I'm booked the
Oh, right.
VIP meet and greet, so I'm actually
Oh,
meeting him as
really?
well. And then
How
on
did you
the
get tickets for that one? Did you pay for them or
yeah, it
get
was
invited?
30 quid for the standard ticket, 50 quid for the upgrade, which is not too bad considering he's
That's
like
all right.
major celebrity.
It'll be a good networking opportunity
Yeah,
for you as well.
yeah. And then 29th of March, I'm going to thinking about going to see Reduced to Ruins at the Cavern. Uh, and then the 2nd of
No, I've never
April.
seen them. Oh, no, I've only seen them play once, and it was in
Hmm,
their old lineup. But yeah, I mean, Exeter's one of the few cities I've been to where the metal scene seems to be really thriving. So it's good to
yeah,
see bands like that doing well.
yeah. Exeter somehow has a very good like metal scene.
I think apathy is the main reason for that.
Yeah,
Because especially amongst people our age, I'm not saying there wasn't a metal scene before apathy, but they really kind of tried to do DIY gigs and that sort of stuff and really just get as many people down as possible.
I mean, yeah. I've got a few more gigs booked in. 8th of June, I'm going to see Take That.
Oh, I didn't know that was your kind of thing.
Yeah, like because it's my parents' kind of music and my brother's kind of music, and you kind of like grow up with what your parents are into. So I'm going to see them, and then I'm going to see Suede and Manic Street Preachers a couple of weeks later.
Oh, really? That'd be nice.
So it's like a
You should.
90s festival sort of thing.
Yeah. No, Manic Street Preachers, I saw them when I was a kid. And then I saw them a couple of years ago, probably at the Beautiful Days Festival. And they're always good live. Their
Yeah,
front man, I forget what his name is, but he is just such a good guitarist. Like, and his voice is still insane to this day. So yeah, that'll be a really good event.
yeah. But Take That, I'm probably, I don't like to say it, but I'm most looking forward to that one because their new album is really good. And like,
I haven't listened to it. I've never been a
because
massive
my
fan.
music taste goes from like metal sort of, and then all the way down to the like the indie pop, indie rock, pop rock sort of thing. Like, there's no in between because I could be listening to. I'll say I listen to Silvertree one day, then the next day I'm listening to The Strokes, and the day after that I'm on to Bon Jovi.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say nowadays, one thing I've noticed just chatting to people, it's a lot more common to have like a bit more of a varied music taste. And I think it's one of the good things that the streaming services have done for us. There's a lot of things wrong with the streaming industry, like just giving money to artists and that sort of
Mm,
stuff. But as an audience perspective, it's very beneficial for just like absorbing music. And I feel like it's much easier for people to get involved in just new bands and new music with the streaming industry just because it's so accessible and it's free and you haven't got the risk of just like um you haven't got the risk of having to pay like well back then probably like £15 £20 for a vinyl just to hear a new sound. And so like I kind of feel like people can feel part of a scene about having seen a band live nowadays. Whereas
mm,
back in like the 80s or 90s, from what I've been told at least, um, there was a lot more of a very tight knit music scene. Like it was music scene was massive, obviously, and it still is. It's always been one of the biggest industries in the UK. But I just kind of feel like nowadays it's easier to get involved and more accessible from an audience
yeah,
perspective. Spotify just needs to up the artist earnings and then
yeah.
we'll be on
Because
track.
it's like 3 pence per 1,000 streams or something like that.
It's awful. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It's really not great. Um, the only thing that has come out of it that's quite good, again from an audience perspective, if you're a really big fan of the band, you can trust that nowadays they're going to be gigging a lot more than they might have like back like 30 years ago, because it's the only way that artists can make money nowadays through gigs or like selling merchandise and that sort of stuff.
I mean, I bought the Recreant t-shirt that they had on their website, that they've got on their website.
Oh yeah, I saw they posted about that.
Yeah, and
Was it how does it look in person?
it's actually drying, so it's still a bit damp, but it's over there on the area. But it's got like their Recreant's like logo thing,
Yeah,
like it's like it looks a bit like a figure of eight sort of thing.
right.
And then that's on the back, and then on the front is like Recreants in their stylized letters, and then like Recreants with normal letters at the bottom so people can know what it says.
Do you know if doing that, if they printed them out in bulk, or if they just like, or if they're
Mm,
making them on demand, selling like so that I was just wondering because we're gonna get to merchandising soon.
I think they're making them on demand. Oh
And
no, they might not
because
be
there's a lot
because
more
they sell
bands,
them at their gigs.
right? Yeah, there's a lot more bands. I was just gonna say nowadays I see making merch on demand or like selling vinyls when you do an album. Like we're a big fan of Get Down Services. We do a gig back with them in Move with Pack of Animals. Um so and they were selling vinyls, they were selling shirts and that sort of stuff. But all the vinyls that they sold have been like pre-ordered before the gig. So sorry, before the album came out. So they printed off the amount that they knew they were going to sell, which I think is actually a really good way to do it, because then that means that you're not going to make a loss.
Yeah,
So you kind of know how much you're able to sell before you actually end up printing the vinyls off.
yeah. Because I think Recreants might have made a batch load, and they were like
Yeah.
they were sending them off like themselves, like through like delivery companies and that. Um, but they were definitely selling them at gigs. So I think they might have made like a batch load or something like that.
I know they've done quite well out of it as well, because I keep
Yeah,
seeing it on their stories. Yeah, I mean, it's always good to see Merrin doing well.
yeah,
Obviously, in Silvertree, she was our drummer for a long time, and her heart's always just been in the metal scene. So it's always good to see her having fun. Um, I'm not that prominent in the metal scene. It's not massively my kind of thing. I do like metal music, but like I just kind of attach more to the indie scene and that sort of stuff at the moment.
I mean, I reckon the indie scene is pretty huge in Bristol. Like definitely
Yeah,
Bristol.
Bristol seems to be the city for punk and post-punk and new indie music. There's gonna be a lot of artists I think soon breaking out. My first time, they're definitely one of them. Get Down Services seems to be like the biggest band in Bristol in our eyes at the moment, doing kind of similar music to what we do. Um, Dance music seems to be making a comeback as well. Obviously Bristol's got such a big drum and bass influence over like the span of like the last 20 years. So moving to Bristol has been really interesting to see that sort of being used into indie music and post-punk as well. And I think it's just because after COVID, people were so used to being inside that like when you can finally come to gigs again, people just want to dance and have a good time. And I think dance music's really benefited actually weirdly off of COVID. COVID unfortunately also shut down a lot of venues, but there's a lot of really cool new music that's coming out that wouldn't have been possible without COVID. So
Yeah,
there's like downsides and good sides of it as well.
yeah. I think one of the yeah, I agree with you. There were the downsides and the good sides to the COVID happening because I don't think I think without COVID, I wouldn't have gone into music the way I am now.
I think it gave a lot of people to just kind of like, COVID gave us all a massive just like look in the mirror of just like what do I want to do after this? It was just like, where do I actually see myself? Because you're just stuck inside with your own thoughts, just like kind of battling boredom. And I think people just realize that like the lust to just go to gigs, or if you're a musician, play gigs or play music with other people, or just being social in general, which is like something that the music scene gives so much. Like people just realize that like the lust for that is so present, and like people just realize how important music is, I think, and like and how much they missed it. It was also, we were very lucky that COVID happened in a modern world, because we were still able to keep in contact with people. Bands
Mm.
actually made albums during COVID as well, which was really exciting as like a fan, to just be stuck inside and have nothing to look forward to, and then wake up one day and there's like a new album from your favorite artist out.
Yeah, and
So
bands
yeah,
bands were doing a lot of online like virtual gigs as well.
yeah, yeah. I remember in the band that became Pack of Animals before, um, had the worst name in the world. We were called Aftershave Before Bed. Um, and it was me on vocals, Theo and Henry on guitar, and then Ethan on bass, and then Marin from Silvertree on drums. And we were just all mates just from school, but we properly got going in COVID sort of time, when we were finally allowed back into like practice rooms and that sort of stuff. And we had to wear face masks while we were practicing. But like still, just that I felt like having to actually really go out of your way to like just even play music in a band really made me just realize how much I love it. And just like having to go through all those steps to take that many precautions. Like you had to do like a COVID test before you could walk
Yeah.
into the practice room, that sort of stuff. Obviously, like it's not as tedious as it sounds, but like just wear like a face mask or something like that while you're performing, like, or practicing and that sort of stuff. And just like that really built my desire for music. So I was like, well, I can't stay like this forever. We can't just keep doing online stuff. Eventually, someone's gonna like do gigs again and that sort of stuff. And it just kind of like really built up and built up. I think just through frustration, just my want to like gig again and that sort of stuff. So I actually owe a lot to COVID, to be honest with you, because I
Yeah.
wouldn't have probably been as involved in like music as I am now about it.
Yeah. I think, yeah, going to even the freedom of going out to gigs after COVID, because my first gig out after COVID, like properly finished, and we didn't have to wear masks or social distance anymore, was probably, it was March. Oh, yeah, it was March 2022 when Die Twice played at the Cavern and then again at the
That
Phoenix
was
the following
crazy.
month.
That was a really good one. Yeah, I think that gig actually, their first gig that I saw at the Phoenix, it was their second time at the Phoenix, was so monumental to my life. And I know the rest of the boys' life, because we all went together. And I just remember going, I haven't felt like this in my life for like the last 3 years because of COVID. So I was just like, I think that the energy that they had on stage and the energy that the crowd had was just built up from like 2 years of frustration from being able to do nothing. And it was just like really beautiful to just see a whole crowd just going crazy just because they finally can.
I remember at one point I was like stood there and was like, oh shit, Fran's up on the stage and he's about to crowd surf.
So yeah, I had an awful haircut back then as well.
Oh, Was it as bad as the haircut you had straight after Silver Tree EP recording?
Oh my God. Oh, Jenny, I went to, it's a little story. Obviously, Ollie, you know about this, but
Yeah.
I went to Buckfastleigh where we were recording at the time, and I was like, this girl had messaged me or someone asking if I wanted to like go out for a meal with her, and I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I'll go out after we finish practice that day. No, finish recording that day, sorry. But I look awful, so I'm gonna need to get a trim before. My only option was this barber's in Buckfastleigh. And oh my God, the lady, I asked for a skin fade on the side because I used to have like quite a prominent mullet. And she just shaved the whole side of my head, no fade at all. So it just looked like I had like two haircuts. I looked like a Lego figure that you've just like stuck hair on. It was awful.
I remember you talking about it in college, and you was like, I wanted to get a haircut in Buckfastleigh with no context whatsoever.
The context was I was just trying to
Yeah.
impress a girl. Like I can't say that worked out for me. Like I wasn't trying to impress a girl actually. I was just trying to look presentable because I looked awful before that, and I turned up looking even worse. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
hey, you win some, you lose some. Like,
Yeah. And then you got a good EP out of it anyway, so
yeah, no, the EP was a really exciting one to record. A lot of love to Josh DC, who recorded the whole thing for us. Gave us a lot of time a day. I learned a lot of things through recording that EP. Because I'd never been in a proper studio setting where there's deadlines and time limits and that sort of stuff before. But it was really exciting just to be in a studio and just have that experience at such a young age. And I feel like me and the boys all learned so much from it. Marin's now recording with Recreants for their they got an album coming up soon or something. So I just think that it's taught us a lot. I've learned a lot now that we've started recording with a pack of animals of just like studio etiquette and turning up and knowing your stuff or just, like and what you're doing because like there's nothing worse than wasting valuable money and
yeah.
someone else's time and just like a producer getting fed up just because like you're not ready or your guitar's out of tune or something like that or you're out of time and then you can't get in time. So like now I turn up to a studio and I just know what I'm doing. I'm feeling confident,
Just
and then I
like
just bang it out.
just like basically get on with it.
Yeah, actually looking at music in a bit more of a professional outlook instead of just like this is a bit of fun and I'm just gonna like have some fun and just have a good time with it. Whereas now I kind of could, I think music uni's helped that as well. I'm kind of looking at music as like I need to take this seriously because this is my career, this is my life.
Yeah. So I think my first experience in the studio was Sound Gallery December
But Exeter
22.
College,
Yeah, that one. And that was interesting. I forgot. We got asked to bring in breakables. I forgot my hi hats, so that wasn't a good start to the day. Um, but with like, I'd never played to a click track before then, and it was so hard to just get in time and stay in time because we had like a bit at the end where it was like loads of drum rolls and trying to get them on point. Got there in the end, but it took about like an hour.
yeah, but these sort of mistakes, I guess, the most valuable experiences of your life. If you just get everything right and you learn nothing, and then you wouldn't like go forward as a person at all. Um, our drummer Marcel, he's only been playing for like a year and a half. Still one of the best drummers I know. Marcel's so talented. Um, a lot of love for that guy, but he's been practicing like crazy to a metronome for our recordings. Just because then he can go in the studio and he already has like a reference of what it's like
Yeah,
to do that. because it'll take you like a couple of hours of playing to a metronome to even sound in time, let alone still sound like you're playing with live energy. Because like the trick with playing to a metronome, you don't want to be bang on time. You want to be like the slightest bit after the beat, because otherwise it loses human feel and it'll just sound like a drum machine or an AI's doing it.
Because even like, I think now I'm much better with playing to a metronome because the performance classes in uni, the drum lessons I have in uni and the instrument skills lessons, we play along to a metronome at the start of every lesson. It's just easy. Like to
Yeah, I mean everything gets easier with practice.
So yeah, I'm getting much better at the metronome side. I wanted to ask, do you and a pack of animals boys have a pre-gig routine? Like stuff you do before gigs?
Right. So usually leave the flat with all our stuff and we're like rushing because we're the most last minute people in the world. None of us can be asked to get an Uber, so we're all just like walking our stuff to the venue. It's the most grim, horrible thing, especially last winter when it was raining. We'll just like kind of rock up, just like absolutely knackered because you carried all this heavy equipment. Sit down, chat to the band, chat to the sound engineers. But pre-gig routine, either we go to the pub and just have a chat, not about the gig, and just have a couple drinks and enjoy each other's company, kind of away from the crowd, away from all like the kind of noise about the band, and just like kind of just like try and chill out as much as possible. But then the moment we get in the green room, we are just like on another level. It's just like we'll get in the green room or like backstage, wherever, like depending on the venue, and we just get in that headspace of just, we kind of all huddle around sometimes, have a little bit of a pep talk. Everyone just gets hyped up. So then when we walk on stage, the energy's already there because the adrenaline's already there.
I think Fetler 3 weeks ago. Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That was astonishing. It was very loud.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty amazing.
It was a good night. It was a good night. The lovely thing about that night was that like every band got to play one song. So there was like 30 bands on the lineup. So you just got to see so much different variety of music. And from a musician's perspective, it was very much a musician's crowd. So like it was tailored towards catering to like just like a musician. So it was very interesting to just hear all this different music and just get so inspired. I felt quite happy that we were on last in a weird way, which is weird for like a competition because you kind of want to be in the middle so that like the judges have a bit more time to think about your act. So then it's a bit more of like a fair vote. But I kind of liked being last at that event because I just got to enjoy my night and just see so many great acts.
The thing is, I would probably want to go first, and then you've.
I feel like going first. First is
go like in the first third, and then you can enjoy the rest of the night, and then.
Yeah. I mean, I like headlining, so it's like a lovely feeling.
Yeah, because even then you can like get in the headspace and relax and do that.
Oh, I kind of feel the opposite for a gig. I like to not feel relaxed. I like to feel just like not nervous energy, but just like eager to be ready to go. It's literally just like your legs like just get like you can't just stop like twitching, chopping up, and like just like jumping up and down, get hyped up. It's like just 3 hours of just like built up like energy. And then when you get on stage, that all gets released. So that I think when you see a crowd feeding back off of that energy that you've created, that's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
So headlining a gig for me is just always the best feeling.
I think when the last gig I actually played in was the college first year gig last year, and I was in I was meant to be in 4 bands, but it got changed down to 3 bands. So helping out in 3 bands that night.
Yeah,
And
I can't imagine playing that much on one night. Our drummer in Silvertree, Marion, she played she played 2 sets in one night, a couple times for us. Probably the best time was at Crofters Rights when we played there. It was just after we'd just done the Clatters TV
yeah,
show, the day before or something like that. Or was it the day after? I can't remember. We had a
the day before, day before was my TV show, and then the day after that gig was MIDI TV.
yeah. And so we just had 3 days of music. So Marion had to drum essentially 4 sets in 3 days. And I don't know how she did it, just because it was crazy. And it was also our first experience of a rider for a band, or my first experience. So me and Kian just got a bit drunk before we had headed on stage, but still, I think one of the best we've ever performed. Um, we kept it together really well, and we just had a lot of fun. That was my introduction to Bristol. Well, it wasn't my introduction to Bristol because we played the Golden Lion, but
Mm.
that was my first gig in Bristol where I went, this city is really cool. I want to live here. Like, and I don't think I'd be living in Bristol without that gig.
Even like, because I did experience like Bristol quite young as a child because my uncle used to live here, so was down here like a fair few times throughout the year, and I've always been interested by the Hippodrome, the Bristol Beacon, or when it was formerly known as the other name, and um, and I just thought like it seems to have a good music scene from like obviously just googling SWX, Effectla, places like that, O2 Academy, and I just thought, what's the harm in studying at BIM and living here and getting involved with the scene?
Yeah, Bristol, I think it's just got such an addictive music scene.
Yeah,
It's such a cool city to be in as a musician, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's the best city in the UK, potentially the best city in the world. Who
yeah.
knows?
Because like there's a BIM in London, and I'm thinking like, there's a music scene in London, but is there a music scene in London like a local music scene?
Yeah, I think London's so much bigger. So it's so difficult as especially as a songwriter to break out and have
Mm,
something different. A band that we've got a lot of respect for is Shane. And I don't know how they managed to do it, but they just like built this completely new kind of sound, which was like Oasis mixed with it was like post Britpop mixed with post punk. And I think in London, unless your band is so different, you're just gonna struggle to break out. And you also have to be really social. London's not for the people that like are just aren't as social with events.
mm,
Networking in London is so much harder than it is in a small city like Bristol, where I see most of the same people at every gig.
yeah. I mean, like even the 4 gigs I've been to so far since I've been back up here since Christmas was Tough Luck, Break for Lovers, BIM Live, and the one last night. You see most of the same people, and you get to know everyone like from BIM. Like,
It's a lovely
yeah,
community feeling.
and I find it
There's a really good music scene.
I find it much easier to socialize at a gig than just in uni.
I think yeah, I could definitely see that because I kind of feel like on a gig, you know that you like the same things. You know that like it's your kind of people. You're both come to this same event. You're clearly both into the same sort of music. Clearly both here to support a band. Like so you've already got that good starting point of like what to talk about.
Yeah,
It's like you already know for sure that you've got something in common. So you're gonna have other things in common as well.
Yeah, and I think the music scene. The music scene's definitely better in Bristol than Exeter, but I do like the work that obvious events are putting in Exeter as well.
Yeah, Fraser's doing a massive shift at the moment. Um, Kind of just keeping that music scene alive at Exeter because, like, unfortunately, a lot of us boys that were in college and that sort of stuff just progressed as a band had to move out to different cities. Die Twice is still in Exeter, kind of, but they're more active in London at the moment. They've been doing stuff in France, Ireland, like, and all of these bands come back to Exeter, but Fraser's kind of keeping the music scene active every day, like every week in Exeter at the moment, which is something that's so important to do because, like, it's giving people the opportunity to just have a good time, and like that's the most important thing in the world.
Yeah, I'm actually interviewing Fraser on Saturday about the work he's put in for obvious reasons and obvious offence. So, what question would you ask him?
I just asked him what inspired him to do it.
Yeah,
Because like we bumped into him at an event the other day in Bristol. He was down watching someone at SWX, and it's just clear how much he loves music. So I just love to know where that all comes from.
well, I got that interview sorted the night he was at SWX, and I was like saying, "Oh, I'm getting these interviews going. I'm interviewing Fran as well," and um, and he said, "Oh, he's right in front of me," because
Yeah, Fraser's a lovely guy.
yeah,
He's a sweetheart.
yeah, and I think he is what's keeping the music scene literally going as it is in Exeter.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I think is really important. Exeter's quite a small city. In fact, Reading is actually, as a town where I'm from, has actually got more of a population than Exeter. So that sort of stuff is so important in small cities because just need more venues in Exeter. I think that's the
Yeah,
issue. But there's only so many times you want to see the same band go and play Move or like go and play the Cavern. Like, I think that's got to be the next step. I mean, Poppy Show are doing something really good with the rehearsal studios at Stiff. Is it Stiff Crowd?
yeah. Is that Puppy Show who run that? Then
Yes, so it's I might get his name. I think it's Jacob from Poppy Show. He started up the studio. So yeah, that's really good because it's actually giving people a practice space in Exeter for quite cheap. Um, and then because before that, most of the bands, well, I mean, we did it in both of our bands as well. We were recording at well, not recording, but practicing at Tasma Studios. So it was like quite. I love Tasma. The only issue was that it was quite a trek out from college, and like Kean was quite often traveling to Oakhampton and Siltree. So just like having a practice studio in Exeter, I reckon is going to be really beneficial for just
yeah.
getting more people involved in the music scene in Exeter.
I mean, because in the band in uni we use Pirate Studios because it's impossible to book a room at BIM. You can't.
We
It's not
managed to book a
possible.
room at BIM just because we check every morning.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, that's my only advice for that. Just get up at 9 a.m. and check. It's
yeah.
pain, but
But
like,
then the rooms at Pirate are free anyway. So,
are
and
they good?
yeah, they're quite good. The drum kits come with cymbals. Like in the BIM practice rooms. It's recommended to probably need to book a week in advance, like before you go, because then that's when you know that room that you want is going to be
Yeah,
available.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, it's quite good. They have decent guitar amps, really good bass amp, decent microphones. Like, it's really good though.
Awesome. Yeah, I have to check it out. I mean, since we've been in Bristol, we've just been practicing at BIM because it's so close to us.
Yeah. My next
Yeah.
question is there like a favourite song from Pack of Animals you'd like to perform? I'll say Pack of Animals
Oh,
and Silvertree. This one.
all right.
Favourite and least
Silvertree.
favourite.
Silvertree, I always used to say walk away, but it changed in hindsight recently to Memoirs of Jane, just because of like how I think that was our best put together song in terms of just like the most interesting one. We did the best on Spotify, obviously, so that helps as well. But Pack of Animals. So there's two. One is Inside a Dream, just because I get to dance around for half the song and just have a good time and kind of feel like I'm part of the audience, but I'm on stage and that kind of thing. And then when I kick in on the synth, it like really adds a lot of texture, and then I go into this lead lines. That one's really fun. The other one maybe is probably our closer, Car Force, because I've always said it. I think the best songs in the world are one that is like when a song that you hear the first time gives you memories or feelings of nostalgia. And that song, I don't know how Theo did it with the chord progression, but yeah, it just gives me that instant feeling of nostalgia. And part of that could also be just because we wrote that song on my first practice with those guys back in Exeter, Tasper Studios, a couple of weeks before we moved to Bristol. They just told me that they needed a synth player, and I was originally only going to be a session player, and they knew that we were living together. And then we just wrote two of our best songs, in my opinion, in 2 hours. We wrote Car Thoughts and The Touch. No one knew what we were going to play going into that practice, but we just jammed out and made, honestly, what I solely believe are two great songs. And
Yeah.
I'm always at the happiest when I'm playing them, just because I get so many memories of just having a great time with my best mates.
And what's your least favourite songs?
Oh, Silvertree. The songs we re-recorded, Tales of the Unknown.
See, that's my favourite though.
I just think it's a bit messy, that's all, but
Yeah.
it's still a fun one to play live. Pack of Animals, we haven't recorded anything, but we had this song called No Smile, which we tried to just like make it right just for so long. And it's not a bad song, it's just like it's not our best. And just I think everyone just feels a bit unconfident playing it. So we got rid of that one finally from the set list. But I don't know, every song with Pack of Animals is like a lot of fun. And just like a good time to play, just because I'm with my best mates. So, like I've got so much love for those guys that we could be playing anything and I'd just be having a good time.
I think my favourite songs from Silvertree and Pack of Animals. From Silvertree, it's Tales and Nihilism, and from Pack of Animals, it's The Touch and probably Head Rush. Although Head Rush has changed so much since I last heard it.
Head Rush keeps changing, and I think that's for recording and that sort of stuff. But that's a really good song. Obviously they wrote that before I joined the band. And I always remember feeling after that one live, that song's just so catchy. Like, and now I'm on stage, I realize how that song is so dancey. It's so dancey. It like just makes you just want to like have a good time and just let loose, really. Because it's got kind of like the funk disco element to it, mixed with post-punk nature. And I think that's cool. Like I can't wait to get that one out there. Because like when people learn that chorus, I think people are just gonna be singing along to that one. Theo's written one of his best choruses there, so yeah.
Why did you ditch the cowbell?
Just because I wanted to add some pads on the synth, just because I felt like because it's quite a funky song, we needed something to just ground the rest of the music. Just link it to the bass line, just because all the other instruments do quite a lot. So I felt by adding a pad on the synth, we could just make it like way bigger and just really support those instruments way more.
Yeah. Although it was really fun
But the cowbell was still
watching you go into the crowd at Move with the cowbell.
Yeah, those are some good memories. Some good memories. I remember I almost knocked so many people over climbing over that barrier.
Oh, I mean, that was the busiest I've seen it down there at Move. I don't know how, even it was a Monday night as well, and I don't know how it
Yeah,
got so busy, like with loads of
I don't know. I
people.
think it was our first gig back in Exeter since moving up to Bristol.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of people were just excited just to like see us again and that sort of stuff. And like it was kind of like live music had taken a bit of a lull since a lot of the bands from college like Die Twice, Us, Iguanas and that sort of stuff kind of left. And
Hmm.
Zephyrus as well, they're a massive part of the Exeter scene. All of these bands moving away, there was a massive lull in the Exeter music scene. So for us to come back, it was just really lovely to see that people still care about us in Exeter. And we're also playing with Get Down Services, and it was the start of forming a really good relationship with them. And so I've got nothing but fond memories of that gig.
So, what's your future plans for gigs you're going to later this year?
I'm going to, so like gigs I'm gonna go see.
Yeah.
So not confirmed yet, but I'm really excited to see what bands like Break for Lovers are doing.
Mm.
I want to go catch Die Twice as a punter again and just head down to one of their shows just because like I've kind of missed that feeling. Those boys did a lot for me growing up, and I kind of just missed that feeling of like chasing that
They're
nostalgia.
playing Louisiana on the 28th of May, 2 days before.
Yes,
Yeah.
chances are I'll be there for that. Yeah, I mean, other bands, I've got Danny Brown tickets. There's a rapper called Danny Brown. He did an album recently with JP Mafia. But yeah, so I'm really excited to go see Danny Brown. Also, or who else? I mean, I'm going to Glastonbury. How do I forget about
I
that?
don't,
Like,
I don't, that lineup's not been announced yet. It's going to be announced
no,
like
they announced it
any
quite
day,
late.
any
Yeah,
day
they
now.
always announce it quite late. But I will say this about Glastonbury. I know it's a cliche thing to say, but the lineup does not correlate to the festival at all. Like, no matter what the lineup is, like you could not see a single act at Glastonbury and have the best time of your life.
Mm.
So that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Like, also because of networking, I might actually know a few bands that are playing, so that could be really interesting. I could see bands like My First Time and Get Down Services, or even Die Twice getting on that lineup. Me and the
But
boys were also debating whether
mm,
doing Boomtown or Reading Festival. Uh, Reading Festival, it's always nice for me because I get to go back home. It's just a shame what the festival's come to, just a bunch of 16-year-olds doing drugs, but hey,
mm.
it is what it is.
I mean, could Pack of Animals potentially be doing Boardmasters? Obviously, Die Twice have announced they're doing Boardmasters now.
We'll try our best. Hey, look, we're in talks with some people. I don't say much about festivals. Chances are you'll see us on more festivals next year when we've got some music released. But this year's just about really just recording and just getting music out there. And then winter gigs are going to be a big one for us this year.
I think I've wrapped up all I wanted to ask you about.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Like, yeah, I'll just say this before I go. Thank you so much for coming down to the event. Thank you so much for always supporting grassroots venues, small bands, and that sort of stuff. We need more people like you in this
Oh,
world, really, at the
I
moment.
forgot. Today I recorded a video to come out on Saturday, and it seems like the universe is trying to tell me stick with grassroots bands because I recorded a review on Liam Gallagher's new single. That immediately
Yeah.
gets taken down for copyright, literally on uploading and scheduling. So I
Thing
was
is,
like,
grassroots bands are
yeah,
never going to do that to you because they need the
yeah.
publicity.
So I'm doing,
Liam Gallagher, to be honest, needs no more
yeah.
publicity.
So
He's already a legend.
I'm doing Medina's Until the End as this week's review.
That's a really nice song.
Yeah.
Like,
And I
it's a
think
really lovely song.
I've got a couple more to get through until we get to like Zephyros releasing their new single in a couple weeks' time, and some other
I can't
stuff.
say much on when we'll be releasing, but it's in the cards. It's in the cards.
Yeah, and obviously Die Twice releasing their single 14th of April.
Yeah, I can't say much on it again, but all I can say is just
Yeah,
make sure everyone checks it out.
yeah,
It is good. Like I'm not gonna spoil. I'm not gonna spoil. All I'm saying is
don't
like
spoil it.
it's the best Die Twice I've heard.
Mm. I thought the best Die Twice I heard was Shaky Mosquito featuring Steve Craddock from Ocean Colour Scene.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for agreeing to
Thank you very
take
much
the
for
time
having
out
me.
of your day. And
No, always happy to.
thank you very much for watching.